So now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing you to Dr. Charles Austin. And he's written books. He's an expert in career development and talking about career transitions and marketing. And he's done this for, gosh, a couple of decades, I think. He's a college professor, a private coach, a corporate trainer, and he has a doctorate in organizational leadership. He's written so many books, and his current book is now, John, you're going to have to clean me up here. It's How to Find Work for the Rest of Your Life, right?
That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. I remembered it. I kind of want to mix up the words. He delivered a TED talk called Wake Up to the Gig Economy," which we all know is here with us currently. And he's got so many great things to say. And you know what? He's entertaining. So there's a couple of firsts that you should know about. Number one, I've never done a boot camp, scheduled a boot camp, another one when we already have so many scheduled. So I added this just because of him and his topic. And secondly, here's another first. I have never made a boot camp, Friday virtual coffee for more than 1 hour. It's 1 hour and then we got to get on. But there is so much to cover with Chaz that I wanted to make sure that we had ample time together. So, and he graciously agreed to it. So we're very fortunate that he's with us. We're so grateful that he's with us. And Chaz, I'm telling you, you are. I started reading your book, and if it wasn't for my infant grandson capturing my heart and taking my attention away, I would have finished it all within a week. It's an easy read, lots of great pearls in there. So, Chaz, I'm going to turn it over to you.
It's really nice to be here with everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm open to talking about whatever you'd like to learn. One of the things I talk about in my life and my work is that life is all about contribution. How can I be of benefit and service to other people? And that's what matters. So whatever I can do today to help you or further on from there, happy to do that. So let those questions fly.
Yeah, so put your questions in the chat, but I want to get us started. So you and I had a conversation, and because many of our community are over the age of 50, right? And there's always the discussion about ageism. I want you to talk about job search later in our career. And then, you know, another topic that you and I talked about was that whole concept of a portfolio career. The portfolio career was my term, I think, but you have another way to look at it. So why don't you get started with that while people are putting their questions in?
Ageism is real. It's a fact of life since the start of the internet and people getting more and more attached to their phones and their laptops and their iPads and their Surfaces or whatever. There's been a division. My wife calls it you're either a digital native or a digital immigrant. And if you're over a certain age, you are a digital immigrant, and you will never be as good with tech as a young person. They grew up with this. It was an umbilical cord and a phone charger in the womb. I mean, they just know it instinctively. They've grown up with it. And so we, baby boomers, look like, my God, I can't possibly hire my grandpa or my grandma. They don't get it. They don't understand it. And you'll never be as good at it as they are. It's if you move to another country and you studied, let's say Mexico, and you studied Spanish for 20 years, you'd never be as good at it as a native. Yeah, so you need to understand that. So ageism is real. People are reluctant to hire older people. They don't think we get it, even though we might. So it's really, really important. It's critical that we're up to speed on everything that's going on technologically, whether that's AI or apps or websites or whatever. and we still have to fight the fact that, my God, you're so old. I can't, we can't communicate. I'm young, I'm 20, I'm 30. I can't communicate with someone this old. So that's what you're dealing with. It's a fact of life. How do we get around it? You know, it's not, awareness is not enough. What action can you take to get around it? And there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, and this sounds a little weird, but I tell my clients this, you could buy yourself a job. What? Buy a job? Yes. You have some money saved up, presumably. You can invest in a company and make yourself executive vice president, and there's your job. Trying the old-fashioned way through resumes and so on, not a good look. They're going to look at you, see that you have 20 years of experience, you're too old, goes in the round file. Even if you cut it down and only show the last 10 years, they're going to know. People can find out how old you are. So one thing is to buy a job. The other thing is you have to lean on your network and not use the traditional send the resume out. That's banging your head against the wall. The people that you know that you've worked with in your lifetime that hopefully are still part of your network, and if they're not, you have to reintroduce yourself. They will hire you. They won't care about your age. They are perhaps the same age as you are. They're not going to care. I don't care how old you are. What I care is I've worked with you before. I know you deliver consistently. I know what you offer. I will hire you. You don't need a formal interview. I'm running the company, or I'm the head of the division, and I'm bringing you in, period. So I hope that answers some of that question.
It answers some of it. There's a couple things. So one is, okay, so I'm going to ask you, how do you stay on top of technology? Because you have to do it too, right?
Oh, constantly. I'm online all the time. I'm online probably more than people half my age. I have to be. I have to know what's going on in order to be of service to my clients and my students. I have to know what's new, and participate in it. That's just my life. I had a student once, an older fellow. He said, "Where do you find the time?" I said, "This is what I do. This is what I do. I'm online constantly."
We have to make the time, right? Because I know,
Oh,
I mean, my degree is in computer systems. So early on, I mean, I was oriented that way. But so many of my contemporaries aren't as adept as me. And it's scary to watch them when they can't even figure out how to set up their email.
yeah,
But
that's not okay, by the way. I've had clients and students say, "Oh, I'm concerned about privacy." Forget about privacy. It doesn't exist. Okay? Cut it out. Yeah, you need to really both feet in and just surrender to this is the new world. You and I, Christy, talked about this. I had a friend who said, either get on the trade or get run over. This is the way it's going. Learn it, enjoy it. It's an incredible resource, and learn more and more. The other tip I would give everyone, and I always have this: have someone younger around who can show you stuff, because it takes me 20 minutes to figure something out, and I get somebody half my age to show me, and it takes them 10 seconds. And I hate them for being able to do that, but now I know how. So you always want somebody younger around you to coach you about this stuff, because they're always going to be better at it than you are. Just, accept that fact.
so stay on top of technology. That's one thing. What about the whole thought? So there's two things with ageism that I think are good counters, but I'd love your input on this. One is companies are wondering how much runway you have. How would you address that? Because literally it's like, well, we don't want to hire somebody that's a sunsetter. That's the term, the sunsetter, because maybe they don't have enough, gas in the tank or charge in the battery, whatever. And do they have the energy? How would you address that?
Um, First of all, I would strongly suggest people stop looking for a job and look for work. This is the portfolio idea. The what I call it, it's the multiple income streams approach. It's all in the book. Yes. So imagine a wagon wheel. Okay. The hub is your brand. And the spokes coming out of the hub are the different ways you can generate revenue. Yes. So instead of looking for a job, and companies are not hiring people for jobs, and let's face it, you get to a point where you're too old and too expensive, and you don't want to deal with the politics and the travel and the meetings and all that nonsense. So think of it in terms of you are a brand and you're getting clients. Yes. So you've got a 6-month gig here, a 6-week gig here, a 6-day gig there, and there's always revenue coming in. So you're never unemployed. You've always got, you're a business, you're a brand, and you're a business, you're entrepreneurial. Whether you want to be or not, you back into that. I backed into it because I'm addicted to eating. And I got to the point where I'm too expensive at this point to work for somebody else, and I'm tired of doing that and sucking up in the politics and all that nonsense. So I'm entrepreneurial and I have revenue, and pretty much everybody I know, and my friend Hope in Scotland, who's on the call, she'll confirm this. You have different ways of generating revenue. Yes. There's always money coming in and you're always hustling for work, but you have a strong sense. This is how I work with clients. What's the brand? We have to define the brand. We have to teach you how to articulate it. And then you have to go out and sell it. So who's your target market? Who would say, you know what, I don't care how old you are, the fact that you can do this, that you know this program, that you have that experience, that you have this sort of success and accomplishment, I want you in. We can't hire you full time. Hey, that's okay. I don't want to work full time. I'm not looking for jobs. I'm looking for clients. So you consider yourself a business. Yes, this is just, it's a different way. It's the portfolio approach or the multiple incomes approach or the wheel approach. Okay. It's a way to continue working for as long as you want to, and you're not dependent on the company saying, I don't know if they're going to be around for very long. I don't know if they can keep up. And all that nonsense goes out the door because people are hiring you for your particular skill set. I need you to do X. You have experience with X. Come on in. We've got a 6-month gig for you. Meanwhile, you're hustling for other clients because the 6 months are going to be up.
You know, it's really interesting because in a way, psychologically, you've just you've done a 180, right? Because, and we talked before about baby boomers are entitled. And so before you address that, so the whole concept of if you're going in and you're looking to add value to somebody and you're not coming at it from, I want a full-time job. I'm not looking for an FTE role. I'm looking to add value. And then it's a shift in almost energy, right? So you're not coming across to a company as almost needy. You're coming across as, hey, I'm a resource that you can leverage, which is a very different approach. And psychologically, you're now I don't know, it's almost like you become more attractive to a company because they're like, well, hey, I don't have to have this person, as a full time, I can have them as a fractional or an interim or whatever. So that's one thing. But also, I think that there's so much to be said for being the adult in the room or the supervision. So many companies are hiring really cheap labor. They're hiring people, right out of college or really low wages, but they don't have the talent, the thought leadership to drive the organization the way that they want. So how would you balance that?
Yeah, sometimes they need gray hairs because it's like herding kittens, and they need someone with that sort of experience. I had a student who had worked in the printing industry for 40 years, the last 10 as a supervisor, and the company went out of business. And he was 60 years old. He said, I've never written a resume before. I said, what's going on in your field? What's next? And it's 3D printing. I said, learn about 3D printing. Now you walk into a company and say, look, I can supervise your kittens, yes, and I know what's going on in the field. I'm up to date on the latest technology. So you've got the experience in printing, the supervisory experience, and the knowledge of what's next. So you can speak the same language as these kittens do. Yes, he got work. That's what we're looking in developing the brand. You understand all the things that you offer, and this is really, it's a difficult thing for me to do. People don't realize how much they offer, so we have to tease it out of them. Oh yeah, I can do that. That's right. I can speak Spanish too. That's right. I know that program. That's right. I know this. Yes. So now you have a whole menu of things that you can offer. And now the job is to get in front of people and say, I can do this, this, and this for you. And if I can't, because I've been in the industry for this many years, I have a huge resource base of people. So if I can't do it, I can find you someone to do it. So yes, indeed, you do become a resource for people. And they see you in a different way. And I don't need a job. I'll come in, I'll help you out for a few months, and then I'm going to turn it over to somebody else. Ain't my thing anymore. I don't need the job. Yes. And I have other clients, frankly, that I'm working with. And they appreciate the fact that you come in. They're not offering you a job anyway. That's not the way the working world is now. So it's a great fit. I don't want a job. We're not offering one. Perfect. Why don't I come in for a few months and I'll help you out? And then I've got other things I've got to do.
I think that that puts you in a position of power.
Yes.
It really does, because, so many companies, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to, turn this person down or whatever. But you come in a more powerful position when you have that attitude.
Yes. And look, the client falls in love with you and after 6 months says, would you be willing to take a full-time job with us? We've been so impressed and you've so managed things so well and your team so respects you. These little kids we never thought would ever pay attention to anyone. They respect you. You speak their same language, even though you're older. Would you consider a full-time job? It's happened to me in my life where the offer was sweet enough where I told my clients I'm going to go work for these people full time. Um, and that's something you can consider. So essentially what all this is you're auditioning. Yes. So and the offer might come, it might not. You're good either way. I got other clients, I got money coming in from different sources. Yes, I have passive income and so on. But if the offer does come, you can look at that and say, well, what would it take for me to work full time? And at that point, you do have enough leverage and enough power and respect where you say, okay, I'll take the job full time. I'm going to work from home 4 days a week. I'll come into the office every Friday and I'll be there for 3 hours. And if I need to meet with anyone or they need to talk to me, we have that 3 hours and that's it. That's the deal. If you want me full time, it's going to be somewhat on my terms. Does that work for you? Yes, we really want you. We want to keep you on.
This is really a shift in mindset, and I think it's a big shift. It's putting, the job seeker in a much more empowered position. And I think it makes sense. You talked before about baby boomers have, feel entitled. I want you to explain a little bit more on that.
Yeah, the millennials always get trashed for, they're entitled, and the people I've worked with the most entitled are the baby boomers, and I don't want to make it feel that negative because I'm a baby boomer too. But the idea behind it is, look, I went to college, I got degrees, I got more degrees, I got a master's, whatever. Yes, I've had a successful track record and made companies millions of dollars. Okay, I deserve a job. I have so much to offer. I deserve a job, and the way I put it is, I deserve hair. Yeah, that you want it, that you want it doesn't mean much. Okay, the universe is not listening to I deserve. Yes, but we did all the right things. We did all the things we were supposed to do. I know how to interview. I know how to dress. I have contacts. I have experience. I have a track record. I have accomplishments, and there's there's a lot of shame around this. Not only can I not get a job, and it's because I'm too old or whatever the reasons you make up, yes, I can't even get an interview. There must be something wrong with me. So there's a lot of shame, but the way I put it is they moved the goalposts and nobody told us. Yes, they changed the rules here. There's nothing wrong with you. My job is to, the truth shall set you free. First, it's going to piss you off. Yeah, my job is to tell people these are the new rules. Okay, I know you did all the right things and nothing's come of it. You have to, it is a mind shift. Okay. You really have to think and then behave in a different way because it's a different world. Sorry, but what I'm teaching people is to market themselves. Yes, so we learned how to use cell phones, smartphones. You can learn this too. And the kicker of it is, I always tell my clients, I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you like it. It's something you have to learn how to do. Yes, in order to succeed and flourish in the future and work as long as you want to, into your 80s or 90s, if you so choose to do that. It's like a winter coat in Chicago. It's heavy and bulky, but you're going to freeze if you don't have one. Yeah. So you don't have to enjoy this process. You just have to do it well enough to keep getting new clients. And then the money's always coming in, and you want to take the afternoon off, you can do that. Yeah, you don't have to go to the boss who's 20 years old and say, is it okay if it, please. I'm my own boss. I'm taking the afternoon off. And the downside of it is you're always hustling for work. But the freedom, and I have this in my life, is extraordinary. It's just great. And I have some of you, I'm sure, have passive income, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever. I have royalties I get from my books. I have 3 courses on LinkedIn learning. Okay. So Christy and I were talking earlier. The TEDx talk is for ego. There's no revenue. The 3 LinkedIn learning courses, which are how to find, keep, and leave a job. Okay. I've earned over $150,000 in royalties from those courses. That's a winner. So sometimes, I sit around, I watch something on Netflix and I'm making money. That's the point, is as you get older, your rate is higher. You've got passive income. You've got different clients who are paying you, and you've got a reputation in the field. You're the point person for that particular thing. You want somebody who does that, this is the person to call. And they call you out of the blue, like what happened here. Things just happen. That's another reason you want to use social media. I've got over 35,000 followers on LinkedIn. Okay. And out of nowhere, I'm here. Okay. That's through LinkedIn. And I'm always promoting. That's just what I do. And you should too. You need to get out of your own way. That's one of the big points in the book. Okay. Whatever fear you have, the ageism, all that stuff. Bottom line is, you have something to contribute to other people. You need to get out of your own way. They need to know that you have this, then, and you can help them, because it's all about contribution and service.
And to think differently other than the FTE role. That mindset has to shift. You talked a lot about brand and that whole hub and spoke, the wheel. And how do people identify their brand? So what we do in bootcamp and what we talk about is, when you look at your career and your accomplishments and all of those things, and then, hopefully you can distill and glean what your brand is from that. And I went through an exercise, decades ago, and I know what my brand is. And but not everyone can say that they emphatically know what their brand is. And how do you recommend people, get to a point that they understand what their brand is?
Oh, boys, this is how I work with clients. So all of you can pretend you're my client now. The first question is, I say you're a brand, and they go, what? What am I, Coca-Cola? I'm not a brand. You're a brand. Okay. So it's a shift in your thinking. Yes. A shift in consciousness without the use of drugs is the way I put it. Okay. So first of all, you are a brand. So what I employ is the SWOT analysis, which is generally used for businesses. Yes. So strengths, and instead of weaknesses, I've changed that to what's missing. Yes. So you chart it out. What are your strengths? What's missing? Okay. And that's you. And then the bottom part are opportunities and threats. That's the marketplace. So we pretend, and it's not pretending, you're a business. Okay. What do you offer? So I have to tease it out with people. What is it you want to do, first of all? And then I created a term called monetizable passion. So I've always wanted to sell real estate, let's say, okay? So is there a market for it? The first place you go is BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor Statistics, part of the federal government, and they're constantly updating their stats about industries and how they're growing. What do you need to move into that industry? What kind of education? How much is it going to cost? What kind of jobs can you get? What are they going to pay? Is it worth it? Yes. So you see if it makes sense to go into that industry. Don't go into a hole, a black hole. I'm going to be a coal miner. Bad idea. That's a shrinking business. You want a growth business. How do you take your skill set and move it into that business? Who do you know who might know somebody who works in the green industry? Yes, I've never worked in that, but I've always been interested in the environment. I worked in the printing field for 40 years. Now it's time to move on. I want to shift career. So you're not retiring, you're re-careering. Okay. And you're not unemployed, by the way, you're available. Okay. Different way to look at it. And different way to label it. So I have to tease it out with each of you if you're my clients. What skills do you offer? What will people pay for? So it's another distinction. This monetizable passion. You may love it, but you can't make a living at it. Yeah, I love to play the drums. Yes, but I'm not good enough to make money at it. So I do it for fun. Yeah, certain things. I also, my wife and I are taking salsa dance lessons. I'm approaching mediocrity after 2 years. Okay, I will never
The fact that
be.
you're doing it, I think, is wonderful.
I will never be a great salsa dancer. Our teacher was a professional salsa dancer. He still is. He's extraordinary. And my wife dances with him and she gets a smile on her face like she never gets when I move her around the dance floor, and she never will. Okay. That's a hobby. Okay. You have to understand the distinction. So it may be something you always wanted to do, but no one's going to pay you for it. So another way to look at it, an hour and a half, I can talk about this for days. Okay. Another way to look at it is, let's say your passion is skydiving. Yes. No one's going to pay you to do that. Yes. But you can find work such that you take 3 weeks off every year and go skydiving at a different place around the world every year. So you get your jollies off by being able to do that. And you understand nobody's going to pay me for it, but I still get to enjoy it. So different way to look at things. Yes, it is a mind shift and a behavioral shift. And the first part of it is having you understand what your brand is and slotting it into an industry that's growing. Who could use the things I have? And it's wonderful. It's a revelation for people. Well, I can do that too. I can offer that too. They'll pay me for that too. I didn't realize, it didn't occur to me because I've never been asked to think in that way, that I'm a brand and what do I offer that people will pay for.
And so in your mind, is the brand what you offer?
Mhm.
Or yeah, okay. So my brand is all about execution. I get shit done. And I figured that out in 2004 when a recruiter said, I have no idea what to do with you. You've been in IT and finance and accounting and business operations. What in the world? And but what I realized at the time, as I was going through an exercise that she put me through, that we actually do with our boot camp community, it was very clear that my brand wasn't about, strategic leadership or the fact that I have an MBA or whatever, a great problem solver. My brand was truly about execution. And so once I knew that, and I can sell that all day long. It's not that easy for people to understand the brand. I think the biggest challenge, because so many people are in their head about how, what does it mean? And so, they'll either plagiarize somebody else's brand or whatever, but it's not authentically theirs.
That's what a coach is for, is to tease that out of people, because I have a perspective they don't on that, yes. But it's the term I was looking for, it's actually on the back of the book. It's a paradigm shift. That's not your entire brand, by the way. And the brand is customized for the industry in which you want to work. The example I use for myself, I'm a trained musician. I could have been another Paul McCartney. I only lack two things: drive and talent. That's all. That's all. That's all it was missing. I've taught classes in music. I've taught classes in the history of rock and roll. If you look on my LinkedIn page, okay, it's all about career. Yes, because that's what I'm selling. However, the brand changes. If I wanted to teach music again, that would go to the top. Yes, and that would be, I teach music. What you're looking at, and you never go wrong, you focus on your target market. What would they be interested in that you can offer them? So if it's a department chair in a music department, I'm going to talk about the music stuff because that's what they care about. Yes, that's basic marketing. What does the audience want? What does the target market want? Yes, so that's what interests them. They don't care about the career stuff.
Okay, so I like that. And so if I think about, I've been a COO recently for a client, and my execution brand fit really well there. And in my business, staffing and consulting, my brand is really about relationships and connections.
Mhm.
And so your brand can be different based on the industry, right?
The It's the old sales thing. Do you have that in black? If I had it in black, would you buy it? Yes, we can make it in black.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, I was in sales for 15 years. It informs a lot of what I do. Yes, you are selling. I call it self-marketing because people get a little frightened by the term selling or sales. Yes, it's marketing yourself. Yes, but it's customized just like your soundbite and your resume and everything else for whoever it is you're trying to sell to. Yes, and what would they be interested in? What matters to them? Yes, you never go wrong if you focus on your target market. What do you need? And if you can't do that, you know somebody who can. So you can help them. You've done them a favor. Everybody wins.
Interesting. I like so much of what you have to say, and as everyone could tell. Okay, so a couple of questions. Someone asked, at what age does ageism start? What's your opinion on that?
Huh, probably 40.
It could. I was thinking more 50, 55. No,
No,
earlier.
no, talk to younger people, and it's, for 40, that's like my parents' age. No, really, it's 40. And worse in tech, certainly. But no, I would say that would be the age.
But don't you think in tech, at least, and what I've seen, especially, talking with clients, is that in tech, the biggest challenge is they need leaders to lead those, young, smart people. And they don't have the leaders, and they need the right leaders to lead those young techies.
Yeah, so I always talk about the side door. The front door is filled with resumes, which people are not reading. They're hiring people they know and trust. Yes, that ain't ever gonna change. I'm not risking my job for strangers. I don't care how well you do in an interview. I'm not going with you. Who knows what else is going on in your life? You're actually an actor, and as soon as you get an audition, you're out the door. Yes. So the side door is that you join associations in the field and start developing relationships with people who work in the field. Yes. And they can recommend you for work. They can hire you for work. Because what you're essentially doing, the other part of joining associations is you're going to volunteer. That's how you get into the industry that you want to work in. And you're working alongside people who are judging you and getting to see, wow, she's smart. She's got a great attitude, great ideas, great team player. That's exactly what I need for my company. Um, you're going to start to make friends also with younger people, and they'll get, number one, you get the technology, you understand the technology, you're kind of one of us, even though you're as old as my dad. Okay, but you're hip, you're cool, it's fine, and I respect you too, and I might recommend you to my boss as, like, we need somebody to sort of manage things and supervise things, and this person would be great to do that. So that's, to answer a question you haven't asked yet, that's how you get into an industry. Side door, associations, and volunteering, and getting to know people because they're going to hire you because they know you. So I might apply for the same job and I have better credentials, but they don't know me. I'm going with this person because a fact of life is sometimes good enough is good enough.
You know, you're absolutely right. People go with the known because hiring is a crapshoot. It is absolutely a crapshoot. You don't know what someone's going to do. And while their credentials may be great, they may not be effective. And all of us have stories about, people on paper who look amazing and they can't, work their way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, yeah, so you want to start developing relationships early on, and because I know some of you are going to shift industries. I've worked in this industry, it's dying, I'm bored, whatever. I'm going into a new industry. How the heck do I do that? Oh my God, I don't know anyone. Join associations and volunteer because nobody turns down free labor. I'm
Yeah.
happy to do. Suddenly, you're face to face with the very people that you need to know who could potentially hire you or recommend you or refer you for work. And you're around them constantly. Every 2 weeks, you have a meeting of the dinner committee in this association, and they get to see how terrific you are. And then when it
So
comes
it's really
time,
about getting involved in your community and in organizations and getting out from behind your desk in your home office or
yeah,
living room, wherever.
yeah, I have a slideshow I show to my students, and one of the slides, it's actually a restaurant in Santa Monica that says coffee, breakfast, lunch. Yeah, so let's say I meet you, Christy. I want to work in your field. Okay, and we work alongside each other, volunteering for the dinner committee. And I say, let's have coffee. It would be great to know you a little better. You're not stupid. I might be a resource for you. Yes. So yeah, let's have coffee. And then we start doing that regularly. And then you start introducing me to other people. You got to meet this guy. He's pretty cool. He really knows his stuff. Oh, really? You do that? Now, I have a really clear sense and know how to articulate. Yes, I can offer that specific thing that you might need. That's great. We have a project coming up. It's only going to last a couple weeks. I'll take it. That'd be great. Now I deliver to your colleague who you've introduced me to and will hire me because I can do the job and he trusts me because of his relationship with you. And I deliver, and a couple months, and I stay in touch with him. That's really important. I have to stay on his radar. Yes. And a couple months later, we talk, or we've had coffee. Now we've had coffee with him. He says, I got something else coming up. We're done. I don't need a resume. I don't need a formal interview, nothing like that. It's not a job anyway, but it's another project. And you keep getting work and you keep getting referred, and suddenly you've got a business and money's coming in from all kinds of places. And
Here's an observation that I want to make, and I don't know if other people are having this as well, but you and I talked last week, and we're talking today. Your energy, your wit, your everything. I am not at all looking or considering or thinking about your age. And so what you're doing, and I think it's important for people to understand, is when you come across with energy, with you know, the mindset that is not needy or desperate or lacking whatever. I don't think people look at your age anymore. And it's like as you're talking, it's like it's completely, not even a consideration
Thank you. Thank you. Look, but let's say a piece of paper represented me, a resume, and they looked at my background.
Oh
This
yeah,
guy,
you'd be an old guy.
he's too old.
Right.
By the way, just I'm going to back up a little to sort of riff off what you just said. I spent the early part of this year fighting cancer. Yes, I had salivary gland cancer. I am now cancer free, and it was months of hell, as my oncologist said. And I will be in about 3 weeks. I will be 76 years old. Yes, which surprises people that what you don't look a day over 77. I'm I'm going to be 76 years old. So in this sort of context, okay, I can come across um, as who I am, which is someone with energy and enthusiasm. That's that old line. If your friends or your colleagues were to describe you with various adjectives, those are the two that always come up. Yeah. So what you're interested in is, and what I'm trying to do here is, what can I contribute to you? And my age is irrelevant. Yes. But if it's a piece of paper that's representing me, I'm dead in the water.
Yeah,
They're
no,
not
you're
going to touch me.
absolutely right because it's flat. And so it is about meeting the right people. It's not about necessarily applying for jobs. It's about networking in. And Bill had a question about well, if it's a confidential posting, you can't find anybody with it. Well, then, it's not necessarily something that you're going to be successful in networking your way in, right? Um,
Well, it's possible if you've joined the industry association in that field, you could find someone who knows the person that you're going to be interviewing with. I just realized something as we're talking, and when a conversation's great, things become you create out of the conversation. I realized that we're all in a really sweet spot. The way the uh, employment market is going is away from full-time jobs into consulting work, short-term gigs, projects. Okay, that's exactly where we should be, or where we are. Okay, I don't want a full-time job. It fits in perfectly with what you're offering. I don't want a full-time job, but look at this list of things I can offer you, okay, because of my age, okay? And you can be a client of mine. I'll work with you on this project, this project. When this is done, I've delivered, call me again, and they will. So it's a great sweet
and
spot.
it is a sweet spot when you're older. Now, people who are, still raising families, et cetera, that the gig economy becomes more challenging for them because they're a breadwinner and the mindset is I've got to have steady work, right?
Yes.
And I started in this industry in 2004. And what I found was that people who were open to projects were people that were either number one, at a point where they could, uh, you know, stand a few weeks downtime, or people who were so confident in their skills that they, had way more offers coming in, and they knew that, one gig ends, they just make sure that they have a 2 or 3 week notice, and then they're, lined up for their next gig. And typically, those were either accounting professionals or technology professionals.
Yeah.
And because those are always in demand, right? But even the technology professionals, if they were single income breadwinners, then they're going to be more thoughtful and more concerned about a project ending. And so as recruiters, as salespeople, we have to really be careful when we're positioning somebody that's going to be nervous about ending their project. And because it's a huge red flag if things don't go, they're going to jump ship. And companies don't want that. They want somebody that's going to be there through the duration.
Um, you have two jobs now. We all do. One is your job, whatever it is you do, and the other one is marketing yourself. Because this project is going to end. The old, I talk about this a lot in the book. The old model that our parents and grandparents had, where you worked for one company for 40 years, yes, and you retired with a gold watch and a dinner and lifetime health insurance, that's going away. Yes, so you're always looking at what's next, what's going to happen next. where else am I? Things are going to end. This is not marriage. They don't doesn't last till you're on your deathbed. Yes, things are
Well,
going
some
to end.
marriages don't last till you're on your deathbed anyway. But um, but how does it look on your LinkedIn profile or on your resume when you have all these gigs? And that's one question that Trina Schneider asks. It's like, how does it look? Does it look like you're, fragmented? Does it look like you're jumping? How does it look?
Not anymore. Used to be. Yes, I was going to say I have a couple of friends. They're in their 40s. She's a consultant and a professor. He does high-end IT work. They're moving across the country because they have a young child. It's a little too expensive for them in LA. They're going into the DC area. They're not worried about him at all. He can always get work because he's so specialized. So I recommend to everyone, you have that specialty. That's tease that in your brand. I'm the point person. I'm the go-to person in my industry on this. Nobody else can do exactly that. Nobody else has this is true for the thousands of people I've worked with over the years. No one has the same brand. So you get specialized in that thing. You're the go-to person and you make a lot of money doing that. And it's a 6-week gig and a 6-month gig, but that sustains you. Yes, that's how that works.
Okay, what about things like medical insurance?
That's a problem. That's definitely a problem, and people are working on it. I had a podcast the other day, and we talked about government regulation. It's like with the internet. It sprang forth, and then the government said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! There's some bad stuff going on here. We need to have some regulation. We need to protect children from porn and all this nasty stuff that's going on." This always happens. Any industry, it explodes, and then the regulators go, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! We need to pare this down." So the same thing is happening with the gig economy, where millions of people are becoming gig workers and they're not protected. We didn't see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Yes. So we have to work, all of us as gig workers, we have to work to, I don't know if unionize is the right word, but some kind of a guild situation where there's an association of gig workers and they can go to insurance companies and say, we have 100,000 members. We would like to do some sort of a health insurance plan for all of us. And that's attractive to an insurance company. So you have to get insurance that way. If you're not lucky enough to have a spouse that's got insurance, or you're okay with that, or you're getting Medicare or whatever.
Okay. There's a question about AI. How do we leverage AI and as part of how we market ourselves? And well, especially if we haven't used AI before, how would we leverage AI?
I went to a conference for adult educators because one of the things I do is I teach. I do adult education, which is wonderful because I don't have to grade, and I don't have, my wife teaches at UCLA School of Social Work. She's a social worker by training. She has to grade and give tests and all that stuff. I don't have to do any of that. So there was a conference of adult educators, and I made sure I went. And the only breakout sessions I went to were about AI, because I have to keep ahead of the game, as you pointed out, and I need to know what's going on in AI because it's a wonderful tool. Once again, a wonderful tool. But now we have to watch it and protect ourselves. Actors are very upset about this because you can use AI and you don't have to hire the actor anymore. Once you get him on film, then you can manipulate it, and thank you very much. You got paid for a day and we've got your image forever. Actors do not want that, obviously. Yes. So there are some dangers there. Yep. So you need to be on top of it. That's part of being part of your association, is you're meeting with people who already work in the field, who can tell you, you want to learn this and this and this and this. I got a bachelor's degree from the City College of New York in sociology. I decided my senior year I wanted to work in network television production. I moved out to the San Francisco Bay Area, and through a friend, met a station manager at a local TV station, and he said, you need to get a master's degree. What? It never occurred to me. You need to get a master's degree. So I went to San Francisco State, which has one of the best programs in the country. I got a master's degree. I moved to LA because you always go where the work is. Yes, now it's virtual, so you can live anywhere and do that for the most part. So I moved to LA and I got a job in network television production because I had a master's degree. The person that interviewed me said, you're the only person who's come by with a master's degree, you're getting work. And I started working in the field.
Wow,
So
that's really interesting because a degree doesn't always open the door. Now, my opinion, I got an MBA and I thought it was going to open all these wonderful doors for me. And someone burst my bubble shortly after I got my MBA and said, your MBA helps you, it proves that you can learn how to learn at a higher level. It doesn't necessarily open doors. Your experience will open doors, and your MBA is just a bit of a differentiator.
yeah, it's how do you monetize the education? I talk about that in detail in the book. Yes, you get the education you need for that particular industry. Yes, I've had students who they wanted to be mechanics, car mechanics, and they were planning to get a bachelor's degree. Well, why? What are you doing? The people that would hire you don't care that you have a bachelor's degree. What they want is a certificate that says you're a master mechanic. So you need to customize the education for the field
Right.
you're working in. So, for example, I was teaching at the college level. I wanted to teach at the university level. They wouldn't touch me without a doctorate. So I got a doctorate. Then I started teaching at Chapman University and Loyola Marymount University. Okay. It opened doors. It's something you need. You need to monetize education as well. And what's the point of getting this if it's not going to pay? Now, I got my doctorate. Harvard still has not called. Okay. But
Not yet.
it was
Not
not
yet.
yet. Okay. But it was how I leveraged it. Okay. Everything you've got, how do you leverage that? How is it going to make a difference? Okay. So in that case, an EDD made sense. If I was just going to continue in the field and I didn't want to teach, what are you doing? What, you got an extra it was $70,000 out of my own pocket. You got an extra $70,000 laying around? Okay, go ahead. People usually don't. So get the education if it's going to pay. You don't always know that going in, but I've more than made up for that $70,000 on LinkedIn Learning alone. On the royalties I've gotten from that, it's more than double that. Yes, but it was how I leveraged it. If you're going to get the degree, if you're going to get the training or the certificate or whatever, that's what BLS.gov is for, to see whether it makes sense and whether it pays. And if it doesn't pay, get the education later. You don't need it. It's not going to, you can't monetize it right now.
And then Trina also said, okay, magazines and blogs say 60 is the new 40.
Depends who you talk to.
I know. Well, it's changing the mindset for ageism and but
Yeah, I
so
see that may be true for everybody in this room, okay? But the 25-year-old who's hiring, that
they're
may
not going to
not
say
mean a
that.
thing that you're all old.
Well, exactly. I absolutely, absolutely. SAS recruiter told me that they only hire those under 30. She's 32, but looks like a 20 something. What would you say to that? I almost think that that's just an excuse that they don't want to hire you.
Yeah, 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 it's true. So yeah, so stop banging your head against that wall. That's ridiculous. Forget it. I had a colleague who had worked at Paramount for many years, moved over to Disney as director of technology. He'd been there for 2 weeks and called HR in a panic. He said, I am overwhelmed. Can I get an assistant? HR guy said, no problem. We'll write up a job description. We'll post it. A couple more weeks went by. He called the HR guy. He said, any response? Guy said, yeah, we got 500 resumes in. My friend was shocked. And the HR guy said, that's nothing. The record at Disney for a job posting is 14,000 resumes. And you think your pretty resume that you worked on for months is going to make a difference. They're not even reading it. Side door. Go meet those same people at the association, volunteer with them. They're going to hire you because they know you now. You're not a piece of paper. You're a person they've worked with. They like, trust, admire. You're going to get it. We can't hire you full time. That's okay. I don't want to work full time. I'm too old for that nonsense. Okay. But
And
I will work for you on a, part-time basis or contract for short term.
and everything you talk about is getting out from behind your desk and having relationships and getting out there. So Bill puts marketing yourself is exhausting. How do you pace yourself and balance job, volunteer, and client acquisition? Because that's a real thing, right? Brass tacks are, hey, I got to market myself, I got to volunteer, and I need to work.
And you're not necessarily going to like it, okay? But at least you're learning about the field and you have something in common with the people that you're talking to, which is you both work in the field. The issue comes up of urgency, okay, which is really critical. And when I teach this, I write it on the board, really, really big, okay, urgency. When it's important enough to you, when it matters enough to you, you'll get off the couch. No coaching is going to do that. No reading is going to do that. When you need it badly enough, I don't like it, but I'm going to do it. Okay. I, I just,
Yeah.
it's time now. I'm good, but no one can force you to do that. It has to, it's a manufactured urgency. Okay. You don't actually need to work. Maybe I got enough money. I'm good. I don't need to, but I really want to. When that becomes something that you're just compelled to do, you will get off the couch. But that has to come from here. Yeah, not from any outside source. I know it's the right thing to do. I've talked about it. I've bitched about it. I've complained about it. My friends have heard about it. The only thing that matters in life is action. Okay, knowing isn't enough. It's like being in therapy. For 10 years, you're in therapy and you learn that you're the way you are because your mother was very neurotic. That's good. Now, what are you going to do with the information? It's all about action. No one really cares. The universe doesn't care how you feel, what you want. It's what
Or
actions
how
you
you were
took.
raised, right?
Yeah.
Or your mindset, hey, I have anxiety. Well, the world doesn't care that I have anxiety.
Yeah. It's all about what you did and what you've done and what you're going to do, and you're compelled. And I think the contribution thing is a big part of it. If you've worked with someone or you've learned to have a good sense of what your brand is and you've expanded that, I can do this, I can do that. People need me. Okay. I am not going to sit on the couch anymore. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to learn new stuff. This is exciting. I'm going to do it. And some days I'm going to go to a networking event. It'll be a complete waste of time, a complete waste of makeup. Why did I do this? So you try it again. Okay. It's like dating. Finding work is just like dating. You you don't marry everyone that you date, hopefully. Okay. But you're getting to know them and you're developing relationships and things will come out of that. And if it's the right field, then that's it. Then you keep pursuing it. Then you look forward to going to the meetings. You look forward to going to the conferences. But you're checking out different. This has happened many times. I've worked with MBAs a lot. I work with MBAs at Pepperdine, where I got my doctorate, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm getting an MBA. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, good. Pick 3 industries you think you'd like to work in and date them. Go to the meetings, volunteer, join associations, see if you like it. Just like you date someone in life, and after a while, you know what? This isn't working for us. Okay, so
You
that's not
know,
the industry.
yeah, but so much of what you're talking about requires energy and to an extent confidence, right? But we're in a world where people are on their phones and scrolling Instagram and Facebook, and we're texting. We're not necessarily, we're becoming more, I don't know, reclusive. And how does that bode for the marketing yourself and the job search, et cetera?
Um, One of the so we've said that baby boomers tend to be more entitled. Younger people tend to have atrophied social skills. They've always been on the phone. they don't know how to talk. And I get this from colleagues in the business world. They don't know how to talk. They don't know what I need. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to write an email. This is unbelievable. Okay.
And they don't know how to go to a networking event because I have so much anxiety and I can't walk into a room because I have no idea. And I
Right.
just get so anxious.
But that's an advantage older folks have, is they can be very social. Yes, it's more comfortable for them. And again, what drives you is people need what I got. So yes, I'm afraid. So I've told clients, I said, I know you hate this networking thing. So throw up before, go to the meeting for 20 minutes. Ta-da! Here hello, isn't it wonderful to meet me? Nice to meet you. Yes, wasn't it? Yeah, ta-da!
But you
Wonderful.
have
And
to do
then
it authentically, right? You have to muster up that energy authentically.
that's that coffee.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you
Okay,
go.
whatever, they need you. They need what you got. And now you have a strong sense of, I offer all these things. I didn't realize I offered that much. I know how to articulate it. I know how to do the soundbite. People need me. People need what I got. I will find a place that people are going to recognize that I really have something to offer, that I'm a great resource. I tell this to my clients all the time. We're not looking for fans, we're looking for money. Okay, so people loving what you do is great, but you need to focus on the target market, because they're going to love you and pay you. Okay, I don't market with my wife. She loves me, but she ain't gonna pay me. Okay, I need to be in front of people who would say, we can use you. Yes, same with you. You need to find those people. And that's, the associations are perfect for that. I'm a member of like 90 groups on LinkedIn, and they're all customized. This is what LinkedIn is great for, and other social media platforms. That's the one I primarily use. They're all education, higher education, and career oriented. That's my target market. That's who needs to know what I offer. And I'm constantly promoting, and then meeting them and coffees and whatever, and getting to know them. And it's like jumping in a pool. You will get wet. You hang with these people. The last line in my second book, this is the third one. The last line is, hang out, make friends, find work. So you
Oh, I
hang out
like
with these
that.
people, you make friends with them, work will come. You're going to jump in the pool, you will get wet. You can't not. It's like farming, okay? You plant as many seeds as you can, you nurture them, you give them water, and you give them sunlight. You don't need 50 to sprout, just one, okay? And then another one, and then another one, because one shoot's going to say to the other, this guy's good. Jump up and hire him.
So your energy is infectious and your languaging is very well. I would call it more like NLP, neurolinguistics, right? It's very. So did you study neurolinguistics?
A little, a little. Yeah, my training, a lot of my training is through an organization called Landmark
Oh
Worldwide
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that informs, really, that's the context for all my work, is that, is to just, not get in my own way. Be, it's how you're connected, how you're wired, and how you're connected. So how you're wired is understanding how you operate, what gets in your way, what hooks you, that sort of thing. And then how you're connected is the relationships you build. Okay, people who will be essentially your agents. Yes, and if you let them know what you're looking for, they will help you, because they have a good sense of what you offer, and it makes them feel good to hook you up with somebody else who can use that. Everybody wins in that case.
And I talk about this frequently. There was a book written in the late 1940s called The Magic of Believing. And it was a book that was left on my bookshelf when I was at Disney, and I got a promotion, and the bookshelf was completely empty. And I came back from a meeting one time and this book was sitting on there. So somebody planted it. Evidently they thought that I needed it. It was really good though. And then I read it and I just thought, oh my gosh, planting seeds is the way to go, because our brains are wired to help each other. And so the more seeds that we can plant, the more
Exactly.
relationships that we can make, then something's going to happen in the most, seemingly miraculous way. But it is all about planting seeds and coming from a place of very positive energy, it's like people are going to think about you. If you're coming from a place of lower energy, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't, that's toxic. It doesn't feel good when I'm interacting with that person. So I'm going to not necessarily think about them, because if I refer them, then they're probably going to make the other person feel that way as well.
Yes, but the key is that we stay in touch. If I meet you at a conference and we exchange business cards, that's not going to do enough. I have to be at top of mind, as it's called. Okay. So I talk about this again in the book. The I've created something called a portable granular database. Yes, that
Oh,
lives in your phone. Yes. So let's say, Christy, you and I meet at a conference and we exchange business cards and then we have coffee. Yeah. So I sit with you and I want to learn as much about you on a personal and professional level. Okay. Because we're developing a relationship. Now, I don't treat you like I'm a cop and you're a suspect, or that I'm a journalist and I'm trying to delve into your head. But after the meeting, I write down everything I learn about you. So now I have reasons to contact you. So I find out when your birthday is. I find out that you love horses, whatever it happens to be. Yes. Now I have a reason to contact you that's based on your needs, not mine. Okay. So let's say you love horses and there's a horse show that's coming up and I got a couple of tickets and I contact you, Christy, I got a couple of tickets for this horse show. I'm not a horse person, but I recall that you are. I don't recall that you are. My phone told me. Yes. And how thoughtful of you. I cannot count how many times this has happened
oh
in my life.
yeah.
How thoughtful of you. While I have you on the phone, something came up that I think you'd be perfect for.
That happens. It happens more than we think. And,
Yeah.
for us to think that, we can stay in our little box and have great things happen to us, I think it just doesn't happen that often. Susie Chen asks, how has having extensive experience lost its value? How do I emphasize my years of experience without looking old? Are employers valuing less the depth of experience?
They're gonna find out how old you are before they ever met you.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
as soon as I connect with someone, I will check their LinkedIn profile, Facebook, Instagram. I know all about you before I've met you. Yeah, so you can't hide the age thing. Yeah. Um, Start thinking in a different way, Susan.
I think it's about value. I don't think it's about experience. I think it's about value, because experience almost seems like an entitlement, right? I have the experience that you need. But it's like, can I create value for you? Can I help you achieve your strategic goals?
Yeah, but if it's through a piece of paper, I ain't seeing that.
Yeah.
It's not a person, okay? So I'm looking at, listen, I've got 500 resumes. I'm looking at what I can throw away. So because I ain't interviewing 500 people, I might interview five, and then I'll wind up hiring you anyway because I already know you. We already work together. So no matter how qualified you are, depth of experience, whatever you want to call it, okay, what you offer, I'm going to go with who I know. Your job is to get to know me and we have a relationship. So Susan never gets to apply for the job, or if she does and goes in for an interview because legally I had to interview her, no matter what she does, the whole thing was rigged. Christy already had the job. And I'll tell Christy that, listen, I have to hire some other people. You're getting the job. Okay. But by law, I have to do that. So what you want to be is Christy in terms of a relationship that we already know each other. Okay. And she's going to get the gig. It's not fair, but as I tell my clients, you want fair, go watch a movie. Okay. Life don't work like that. Yeah.
Well,
I want,
yeah,
I
life's not
want, I
fair. Get
want my,
over it. Who was
I,
it? Steve
yeah, I
Jobs
want
or
my
something.
clients to have the edge. Okay. I want them to get the gig. Okay. Because they knew somebody. And we all know this. I got my job because I knew somebody. So you need to expand the somebodies you know. Okay. And develop a reputation in your field that you're in or getting into, as this is the person I need to hire. This is the person who can do the job. I know them, I like them, I trust them.
this is all really, really good. Okay, so now I'm going to do open the floor. Raise your digital hand if you have a question for Chaz. And uh, everything that you've said just resonates so much with people and what we know. And we're going to make sure people have your contact information because you know, you are a career coach like very few others. And
Thank
tell
you.
it like it is. I learned so much about you and how you've developed this mindset. It's really, really impressive. I'm
Thank
a
you.
raving fan already. Okay, Russ, ask
Yes. What
away.
was the title of that book? A title and author?
Oh, Magic of
Here it is.
Believing. I don't know the author. Oh, this one is How to Find Work for the Rest of Your
Oh,
Life.
sorry, the other book.
Yes,
Yes, my grandmother told me about that book.
I'm serious. And it was in those things called the pocketbook. It's the size of a
Yeah,
checkbook. And but
I
it
was
was written in the 40s. So somebody gave me their old book. I still have it somewhere buried, but
I was kidding about that. That's how I deal with anything comes up about the past. You know, somebody talks about the Beatles. I go, oh yeah, my grandma used to listen to them.
oh,
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah,
The
right.
Magic of Believing.
The
And
Magic of
Bill,
Believing.
you have your hand raised. Ask
I do.
away.
I do. You talked about being a resource, and one of the things that I got hired for one time was because I was going to be bringing a valuable network, but I don't think my executive manager knew how to tap into me to use that resource. How should we educate our new managers to use the network that he's purchased in the role that you get?
take them out to lunch. Tell them, listen, I don't know if you're aware, but I know a lot of people. I know that we're starting this new initiative. I don't know if you know this, but I wanted to talk with you one-on-one and let you know, I know a ton of people here and I'm happy to open up my database. Me database is Sue database, okay? I'm happy to oh, thank you. I didn't know that, Bill. Thank you very much for telling me about that. Yeah, let's talk further. Are you available after working hours tonight? Let's go into detail about this and see who can help us get this thing get this thing to happen.
Thanks, Chaz. Great suggestion.
Good.
Okay, any other questions? We have a few minutes. It's your chance.
I answered everything.
Early on, I heard you talk about buying a job.
Yeah.
I may have missed the context around that, so can you please explain what that means?
It means if you have some money saved up and you want to work for a company, rather than sending in a resume and going through the interviews and all that, you invest in the company and you give yourself a title. I'm going to be executive vice president of the company. There's your job. I know it's a little radical, but if you have that money to invest, instead of using the old-fashioned way, the 20th century that doesn't work anymore, invest in the company and you've got a job.
So I like that. And with so many companies, startups are looking for advisory board members. And to be an advisory board member, and gosh, about a year ago, I ran into a PE private equity guy who said they are looking for advisory board members for their entire portfolio. And some of them are paid, most of them are not paid, but it gives you relevance and it lets you into a company. And there could be an opportunity for consulting. I mean, there
Yeah.
absolutely can be. The other thing is to work with incubators and startup organizations because there's so many organizations, so many entrepreneurs are being created that's what they see as the future of work for them is to start their own thing. And not a bad way, right? But they
Oh,
need advisors.
yes, I'm actually on a list for being a board member and advisor for different companies. I get emails every day about this. I just don't have the time to do it. But that's a great way in. You volunteer your services And you find these people through the organizations in your industry that you join. There's something in LA called the West Side Digital Mix, okay? And it's basically for entrepreneurs and startup companies in the digital space on the west side of LA. So you get to meet those people. Hey, I'd be happy to help you out. I've worked in the field for 20 years, 30 years, whatever it happens to be. I'll be happy to volunteer and help you out for a little while. And there you get access to people who, yes, in fact, could say, we'd like you to join the board and pay you. We'd like you to take an executive position. We'd like you to be an advisor to us, paid. We've got some consulting work for you, etc. Listen, I live with a Freudian analyst, okay? So I hear it all the time. It's all about relationships. It always will be. Meet people, develop and deepen the relationships. Work will come out of that. That's an excellent idea, is to join boards. They're happy to have, listen, again, free labor. They're happy to have you. Now they respect the gray hair because they have no idea what they're doing. They're frightened to death. Let me tell you how it works, Sonny. Okay, just chill, relax, have another Red Bull, and let me explain how things work.
Okay, so two things that come out of that. One is I do think doing that allows you to potentially position yourself for a consulting thing, right? Because, as a board of advisors, it's not free information forever. If they want to dive deeper, then, they're going to pay for you to consult with them, likely, right? And then the question is, how do you set your rate?
You talk to other people in your field and find out. That's what I do. And you adjust it according to the economy. Yes.
Well, or if a company is representing you, so many times when we're working with a senior executive with a client, their rate to the client directly would be one thing, but they have to also understand that going through us, their rate's not going to be that. And sometimes their mindset, is like, well, but wait.
Yeah, the people tend to undervalue themselves, but the
or
way
overvalue themselves with, understanding that the economics, there's a price elasticity threshold.
I have a whole section in the book about how to negotiate. Yes, so
I haven't gotten to that part, evidently.
Very simply, okay. You've got two numbers in mind. This is not just negotiating for a consulting contract or a job. This is for anything in life, anything, forever. You've got two numbers in mind, what you want and what you'll accept. And negotiation happens between the two. Yes, it's not quite that simple because there's always, in terms of a job or in terms of a gig contract, there's always the package. Yes, so that has to factor into it as well. But from your colleagues, this is what the rate is. I would come in a little lower if you're starting out. That was Jay Leno's attitude when he was substituting for Johnny Carson. I don't know if any of you know who Johnny Carson is. My grandmother used to watch his show and black and white television in the olden days. Okay.
Without channel changers.
But he would be a guest host and he'd always come in cheaper than everybody else. So you come in a little cheaper. The going rate is $300 an hour. I'll do it for $250. You try to get the client. You get the client, then eventually, because of inflation or whatever, you can raise the rate. They're happy to keep you on. Not a big deal.
Okay, so now we're about out of time. So how do people work with you? How do they contact you? What types of clients are you looking for? I mean, hey, this organization is pretty well connected.
Yeah, I coach leaders a lot. Yes, all over the world. I'm the chairman of the advisory board to an agricultural company in Nigeria, of all places. And this guy found me on LinkedIn, of course. Okay, I know this much about agriculture. Okay, that much. But he's using me to coach him as a leader. Yes, I wrote a piece about leadership. It's on my LinkedIn page. That basically a leader in the best sense is a gardener, okay? Creates a safe space for his employees or her employees and nurtures that so they can grow and flourish. Okay, that's my philosophy about leadership, and it's I know that's not non-traditional as is so much of what I do. So the best way to reach me is through my LinkedIn page, Dr. Chaz Austin. Okay, and everything's there. I have my own website, but LinkedIn I find is much more useful for me, and I can update it constantly. So how to buy the book, all the things I've written about leadership, all the services I offer, it's very complete. That's the way to connect with me, Dr. Chaz Austin on LinkedIn.
Okay, then how do you work with clients when, like in job search?
That's interesting. In my wife is a therapist, and therapists call therapy the gift that keeps on giving, because people work in therapy for years and years. My wife actually has a client she works with on the phone she's had for 40 years.
Oh
Okay?
my.
Meets with her every week, 40 years. Incredible. I've not found a way, frankly, to monetize my coaching over the long term. It's usually 2 or 3 sessions, and then people are good to go. That's it. I know what my brand is. We've worked on how to articulate it. I've joined different groups, both virtually, through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through whatever, okay? And in person, I'm going to meetings. I'm good to go. Can we talk like once a month and just, so to polish my pitch and get some guidance, okay? So it's 2 or 3 sessions and we're good to go. I have not found a way. Maybe I articulate it too well or something. I've not found a way to do this long term. People only need me for 2 or 3 sessions pretty much.
Because
And
you're
we're
that
good.
good. I love it. Thank you, Chaz, so much for doing this. Are you going to come back?
Sure,
Good,
absolutely.
good.
Absolutely. The coffee was great, by the way. Thanks very much. Next time, donuts, okay? Oh, absolutely. I hope it was a value to everybody. That's the most
It
important
was.
thing.
It's so valuable, and you just started off our day great, and certainly our weekend. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
My
doing
pleasure.
this.
And I would recommend to people buy the book. It's only
Oh
15
yeah,
bucks. It's only $15 for the paper and 10 for an ebook. But I basically touched on things and
I got
it,
the paperback because I want to share it with my kids, and it's like I want them to read certain parts because it's amazing. It has
thank
so
you.
many pearls in it for not only people well established in their career, but just entering their career. And
Yeah,
it's like to think about job search and what you want out of your career. Nobody knows what they want in their career. Very few people know what they want in their career when they first go to college, right?
right.
And and even as established career adults, many times we want to pivot, and
Yes.
that's okay, and your book offers so much of that, but I really want to
Thank
capitalize
you.
on
Yeah,
and read the
I just
negotiation.
I feel, a bit, it's a bit of a cheat. I sort of touched on, this was like a cake tasting. Okay, you
Yeah.
don't get the whole cake. The book is the cake. This was the tasting. So we can only do so much in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's why if you want to delve deeper, that's why I recommend that.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, John. If you'll start the music and send us on our way, thank you so much. Reach
Thank
out
you.
to Chaz. We'll send out the recording. We'll thank you. I
Thank you.
am so grateful, and
Thanks.
I feel so blessed to have met
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Christy. Thanks. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of the day. Bye,
You too.
everyone.
Yeah, same
Bye.
Thanks,
here.
everyone.
Thanks for thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.